friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monica, or MikaKnits is here on YouTube, and this is my little crafty corner of YouTube where I get to share with you all the fun things that I am making, things that I'm mainly knitting or crocheting. And today is, well, actually today is Friday, April 1st, but when this video comes out, it'll be Saturday morning, April 2nd. And if you have not noticed, it has been quite a while since I have made any videos here on YouTube, and there's not a huge reason for that. I think the main thing is that I really think I just needed a break. I just needed a break from making YouTube videos. Sometimes when you make YouTube videos, it's a little bit overwhelming at times, and I found that I was spending a lot of time trying to knit really quickly and have objects finished to show you guys, and I wasn't spending enough time on other things that I like to do, like tomato gardening or even taking a walk outside, stuff like that. I haven't been focusing very much on myself, and I was just spending a lot of time doing that, and so I think I just needed to take a step back and manage my time a little bit better. So that's the only reason. There's no other reason for me being gone from YouTube. But yeah, that's it. That's the only reason I have for you. Since it has been a little bit of time since I've been on here on YouTube, today's video might be a little bit of a long one. So feel free to grab a drink, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab some wine. I don't know. I don't know what you're drinking. Anyway, feel free to grab something, and let's just go ahead and get right into it. All right, guys, so finished objects. So I do have two finished objects to show you today. So the first finished object that I have to show you are my winter socks. Here they are. This is a pattern by Dehmer, or VickeVira, as she's known on Ravelry and Instagram. She is a Swedish designer, and this is her pattern called Winter Socks. I haven't said that already. The yarn that I used for this pair of socks is the Moonglow Yarn Company's Frosted Forest sock set. And if you can tell by the colors, hopefully you can see, but the colors are very Christmassy. This was a sock set by Moonglow that came out during the holiday season last year, and I was supposed to knit these socks like in December, January time, but I only finished them like a few weeks ago, and that's okay. But anyway, these are my winter socks. This pattern was a little bit different, so if you can tell, put one here, this has a little bit of a cuff, which is kind of different. So when you start the sock, it is a cuff down pattern. When you start the sock, you actually start it on this side here, and you knit this cuff, and then once you get past a certain point on the cuff, you actually turn the sock inside out, and the rest of the sock is worked on the other side. So that when you go and put them on, all you have to do is fold down this cuff, and you have a beautiful design on your cuff. And I think that that's kind of different. I think that that's really cool. I've not seen a sock pattern like that before, but I actually really like it. It gives it a really nice detail. And yeah, I don't have much else to say about this pattern. It's pretty standard. There is a lot of color work in this pattern, as you can probably see. You've got color work on the cuff, and then you've got a lot of color work on the leg here, and then you just actually even continue the color work all the way through the foot into the toe. And you only stop color work right when you get to the toe decreases. So there is a lot of color work in this pattern, so just know that if you do decide to knit this going forward, there is going to be a lot of color work in it. So I do recommend actually going a size up in needles than what is written in the pattern. I think she writes that you want to use a size 1 needle for this, but I ended up using a size 2 needle for it because my color work tends to be quite tight, so I just wanted to make sure that it was going to fit. So yeah, I just recommend going a size up in the needle because of the color work. But other than that, it's a really, really fun pattern and it does go quite quickly. So yeah, those are my winter socks. All right, and then the second finished object that I have to share with you guys is another pair of socks. This is the first pair of socks in the 52 Weeks of Socks by Line. I'm not sure how you say that, I keep forgetting. But it's in the 52 Weeks of Socks book. It's the first pattern in that book. If you don't know, or if you've not been to my channel before, I have decided to knit my way through the 52 Weeks of Sock book, 52 Weeks of Socks book. And I'm only just finished the first pattern, so I don't have a deadline or anything. I'm just kind of going through it really, really slow and at my leisure, but I am knitting my way through it. So this is the first pair. Here they are. This is a pattern called Intersections. It is by Marceline Smith. And like I said, it's just the first pattern in that book. It is a toe-up sock that actually has these beautiful little cables. Hopefully you guys might be able to see. Hopefully I have some good lighting from the sun here. But those are just right-leaning and left-leaning cables. Hopefully you guys can see that. And it's a really simple pattern. So let me go ahead and show you the yarn that I used. The yarn that I used is just a yarn from my stash. It's a cheaper yarn that I think I purchased at like a big box craft store like Joann's or Michael's a really long time ago. It's Premier Yarns Deborah Norville collection, Serenity Sock Weight yarn. Hopefully you guys can see. It's in the color navy. So it's just a cheap yarn. I do have a lot left over of it, but yeah, I just used the yarn from my stash. I did knit these socks for my mom and they do fit her, but they do look a little funny when I'm holding them up here. And I think the reason for that is because they are shorties. They are shorties. They hit her foot. They just hit her at the ankle. So they are shorties. So I think that's why they look a little funny. They have a really long leg and then a really long foot, excuse me. And then the leg is not as long as the foot, but they fit her really well, and she's really happy to get them. So I think because this is the first thing I've made for my mom, which is kind of weird. But anyway, this is the intersection sock. So yeah, that is the second finished object that I had to share with you. And that's it. That's it for finished objects. I don't have anything else to show you there. So let's go ahead and just move on in to works in progress. All right, the first works in progress that I have to share with you today is my Beauceron sweater. This is my Beauceron sweater. This is a pattern by Vincent Deslandes. I think that's how you say his name. Or he also goes by Designs by Delz. It is a beautiful sweater. This is where I'm at. Hopefully you guys can see. I don't know how much I'm getting in frame because I also can't see myself, so apologies. But this is where I'm at on the Beauceron sweater. I'm still on the body, but I'm basically almost done with the body. I don't have much more to go on it. I just gotta throw it on and see where I'm at and yeah, measure it and all of that stuff. But other than that, once I get finished with the body, which won't be it'll be pretty soon that I finish the body. I'll get to move on to the sleeves and I'll have some more updates for you then. But this is where I'm at with my Beauceron. Again, this is patterned by Vincent Deslandes. And the yarn that I'm using for this sweater is the Barocco Vintage DK yarn. The colors I did look up. The pink color, which you can see there, is called Ballet Slippers. And then the light brown color here is called Oats. So that's my sweater. So this pattern is really well written. This pattern is a wonderful pattern for first-time sweater knitters. He writes everything out really well and easy to understand. If for some reason you don't know how to do a stitch, he always adds either a video component or he writes out exactly how you're supposed to do it. So you always have a little bit of a tutorial, a little bit of help in doing something maybe you don't know how to do. So he's really good about that in his patterns. I highly recommend checking them out. He's very good. Although this sweater is a good sweater for first-time sweater knitters. There are some fun design details as well, so let me go ahead and share with you. So if you might be able to tell, this is the front of the sweater here, and the back of the sweater on the neckline, the back is actually a little bit longer than the front, so you do have some nice short row shaping that you do here, and that's kind of cool. If you see, gives you like a nice, cool and interesting look. And then on the body, as you're knitting the body, once you finish this part here from the yoke, as you finish the body, hopefully you guys can see, but you do a sort of slip stitch on both sides so that it gives you kind of like a seamed look. Gives you this nice line down the side of the body. And it looks almost like a seam. I think you can see that. Anyway, so those are some nice design details. I also think you get the seamed look on the sleeve too, but I haven't gotten to the sleeve yet. So once I do, I'll show you guys. But yeah, those are just some nice design details. I really, really like it. I highly recommend checking this pattern out if you haven't already. It is a fun pattern to knit. Although it is good for beginners, I will say that once you get past the yoke here and you get right into the body, it's simple stockinette stitch from here down. And that's really nice and kind of mindless knitting if you want to do some mindless knitting. But if you're anything like me, sometimes stockinette can get a little tiny bit boring. And so when I get a little bit bored with a project, I do want to pick up another one and start something different. And so just know that going in, it is a fun pattern and it is really a beautiful sweater in the end. But the body especially, and I think probably definitely the arms too, are just gonna be a little bit boring with straight stockinette. So just know that going in. All right, so that is my Beauceron sweater. That's as far as I've gotten on it. All right, the second works in progress that I have to share with you today is something that I've been working on a little bit secretly, I guess. And that is my Dibiasky Sweater, or my Don't Look Up sweater. If you've seen the movie on Netflix called Don't Look Up, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio, you will know what this sweater might look like. But here is a good picture of my sweater. This pattern, this is a written pattern if you do decide to get this. This is from somebody on Ravelry called On The Side. And this is her pattern that she actually took the time to write out, called the Dibiasky. She's calling it the Dibiasky Sweater, but I'm calling it my Don't Look Up sweater. So here is my Don't Look Up sweater. It is really beautiful. I'm so proud of it, actually. You have no idea. So this sweater is the exact same sweater that I saw Kristin Leher from Leher, I think is how you say her name. She goes by Voolenvine here on YouTube and on Ravelry, I think. Every now and then I watch her videos. She has some really quick, fun videos every now and again. But she decided to reverse engineer this pattern, and I completely fell in love with her design. So I completely fell in love with her design and her colors mainly that she was using. And so I decided to go out and actually purchase the exact same colors, the exact same yarn essentially, and make my own version of this Don't Look Up sweater. So here she is. Hopefully you guys can see it really well. I don't think I have good lighting today because it's kind of like cloudy outside, and anyway, so hopefully you guys can see it. But this is my Don't Look Up sweater. The yarn that I'm using for this, like I said, is the exact same yarn that Voolenvine is using, and that is this yarn. This is the Wool of the Andes Superwash Worsted Weight yarn. This is by Knit Picks. That's the yarn that I'm using. The colors that I'm using, this orange color is called Persimmon Heather. So this is the main color on the body, and on the yoke here, that's the Persimmon Heather. The pink that I'm using is also the Wool of the Andes. It is called Rouge. And then the black is also Wool of the Andes, but that is called Coal. So I'm using all wool of the Andes. It is a cheaper yarn and it is a teeny bit scratchy, but I don't really mind that so much. But if you are one of those people that just can't handle the scratchiness against your skin, I'm sure you can find some other yarn that agrees with you better and that is pretty much the same color. So yeah, so that is the Don't Look Up sweater is what I'm calling it. I did sort of reverse engineer my own measurements into Voolenvine's. She provides some really good notes on her Ravelry page for how she was sort of designing this sweater to fit her. And I just took her advice and did the Elizabeth Zimmerman's percentage system. I used that and obviously my own measurements and a gauge, which I don't have, but I had to gauge for this one. And yeah, I just went by my own measurements. I'm quite a bit bigger than Kristin from Voolenvine, so I had to just kind of do a little bit of mathing to figure out how big I needed to make mine. But I did throw it on the other day and it does fit me. Like, it's absolutely perfect. It's not too tight, it's not too loose, it's not too long, it's just right. It is just perfect. I am completely in love with it. It is getting warmer outside though, so I can't wear this until next winter, or this coming winter I should say, but I do love it. I'm really, really proud of it. And yeah, that's it. Please let me know in the comment section down below if you guys would like me to go a little bit more in depth with how I sort of reverse engineered this pattern to fit myself, or if you would just like me to include that information on a Ravelry page. I'd be happy to do that. And yeah, we'll just go from there. So I am on the sleeves. Here's my second sleeve here. My first sleeve and my second sleeve rather. I haven't finished the sleeves. I'm still just at the beginning of this first one, and I think I have to do a little bit more figuring out the math to finish the sleeve. So once I do that, I will share it with you guys, but this is my second works in progress. So excited to show that to you. All right, so that is my Don't Look Up sweater. All right, and then the third works in progress is my forever work in progress. I swear, I'm telling you, it's gonna take me forever to finish this. But my third works in progress is my Slipstravaganza blanket. And let me go ahead and share it with you. I finally, at long last, did put this blanket onto needles. So it can stretch out a little bit more for me to show you. But here is my Slipstravaganza blanket. This is a pattern by Stephen West, or WestKnits. It is sort of designed after his 2020, I believe. Yeah, 2020 mystery knit along, and which I think was called, correct me if that's wrong, I think the 2020 mystery knit along was the Slipstravaganza shawl, and 2021 was shawlography. I think that's right. But anyway, this was modeled after the Slipstravaganza shawl. So it does look quite similar to my shawl, obviously, but this is knit with DK weight yarn, and the shawl was knit with fingering weight yarn. And obviously this is much bigger, as you can see. The needles that I have this on right now, and it's still bunched up in certain places, so you can already see how big it is. But the needles that I have this on are size 6 Chiagu needles. They are 60-inch circular needles, and so it's getting big. It's getting to be a really big project. This will get bigger. So there are 2 versions of this pattern. You can knit the blanket. Once you get to the bubble stripe section here, you just knit 9 bubble stripes. That's the short version, and then you just end it there with a picot edging. But I am knitting the long version, or the large version of this blanket, and so for me, I am on the 8th bubble stripe right now, and I have to knit 12, so I have 4 more to go. So it will just get bigger from here, and then once I cast off this blanket, at some point, who knows when. Once I get to cast off this blanket, I'm gonna be casting off a little over 1,600 stitches. So it's gonna be quite large. I did just go on Amazon and purchase another 2 pairs of 60-inch circular needles because I really feel like I'm gonna need them. So yeah, here's my Slipstravaganza blanket. The yarn that I'm using for this blanket is the Valley Yarns Haydenville DK yarn. And the colors that I'm using are just, the main color is black, which you can see there in the middle, and then the 3 grays. And the colors for the gray are just, the light gray is called silver, the medium gray is called gray, and then the dark gray is just called dark gray. So yeah, so that is my Slipstravaganza blanket. It's really huge already, and I cannot tell you how good it's gonna feel to actually even just finish the bubble stripe section in this pattern, because I have been working on the bubble stripes since like September, I wanna say, and there's gonna be 12 of them, and there's 786 stitches on the needles right now, and I think one row takes me like a little over an hour if I don't stop and I just straight do knitting. It takes me a little over an hour to just do one row. So I'm gonna just be happy just finishing the bubble section. I swear to you, it's gonna take me forever. All right, and then my 4th works in progress, I do have 5 to share with you today, but my 4th works in progress is something that I'm doing for the summertime actually. So I have been seeing all over maybe Pinterest and Instagram, I've been seeing a lot of granny squares happening, and I really was feeling the granny squares for the summertime because with all of my knitting things here in Washington State where I'm at, it does get quite warm during the summer. It doesn't get like super hot like in Las Vegas where I'm from. It doesn't get super hot, but it does get quite warm, and I just felt like crochet is a little bit more suitable. Crochet might be a little bit more suitable for the summertime or spring and summertime here in Washington State. I know I'm not going to get to wear any of my knitted things during the summer, so I felt like crochet was a good option. I also haven't done crochet in many years and have never considered myself to be a good crocheter, but I did want to pick it up again and try it a little bit to see if I could just do granny squares or something else that might inspire me. So I do have 2 crochet projects to share with you today. The first one is my granny square cardigans. So I am I am crocheting and making granny square cardigans. I do have 3 granny squares to show you today. So here, I haven't weaved in the ends yet because I keep forgetting to do that. But here are 3 granny squares to show you. So what I'm doing for my crocheted granny square cardigan is I decided that I want my main color to be white and then just have a plethora and multitude of different colors in the middle for each granny square. So I'm literally just doing different color combinations with all of the yarn that I bought. I just bought like a crazy amount of this yarn at Joann's. Let me show it to you. I went out to Joann's, which is a big box craft store here in the United States, and I just bought a ton of this yarn called Big Twist. It's a value yarn. It's 100% acrylic, but I'm not too worried about that. But it's just a value yarn. This big skein was $2.50. It was $2.50. So it's really cheap. So I literally bought just like all of the colors, and there's so many. I bought like all of the colors in this yarn that they had, and then I bought 2 skeins of the white because I want my main color to be white. So yeah, so that is what I'm making right now. My granny square cardigan is this one. And then when I told one of my sisters that I was making granny square cardigan, she said that she wanted one too. So, but she requested that her main color be black, and then she only wants monotone colors for her for the middle of the granny square. So I'm making her a black, it's basically the same, the granny squares are basically the same, but hers are just different color grays in the middle and then black around the edging, so that when all the granny squares come together, her main color will be black, mine will be white, as you can see, and we'll have our little granny square cardigans. Now for her cardigan, she does live in Las Vegas, Nevada, so it does get a little bit hotter there. I don't think that she's going to be able to wear it in the summertime, obviously, but she decided that she wanted her cardigan to be 3/4 length sleeves instead of a full length like mine, and then she also wanted it to be shorter in length, because my cardigan, I'm actually going to make like a bunch of these different squares, and mine is going to be like a longer length cardigan, but she just wanted like a short waist length cardigan and 3/4 sleeves, like I said. So I actually found a pattern for her cardigan that I'm loosely going off of, and that is a pattern that you can actually find on the internet on a website called Originally Lovely. Yeah, a girl named Caitlin runs a website called originallylovely.com, and you can find basically the pattern that I'm using for my sister's monochromatic granny square cardigan sweater on her website. So you can kind of get an idea of what I'm going for. I'll insert a picture so you guys can see, but yeah, that's what I'm making for my sister and for myself, and that is my 4th works in progress. Okay, you guys, and then my 5th and final works in progress, I only have 5 to share with you today, is another crochet project. I purchased this kit for a crochet blanket from a company called Mary Maxim, which is just a big craft store, I guess. I don't know if they have like a brick and mortar, but it is like a crafty magazine that you get every so often. And they sell different kits to many different needle crafts, not just crochet, but like knitting and some cross stitch and stuff like that. So I did buy this kit from them like back in January. This is the Persian Tiles Crochet Blanket. If you can see, that's what it looks like there. And it was on back order when I ordered it, and I finally received it in like a couple weeks ago in March, and I was so excited to get it. I started it right away because I absolutely love this blanket. I don't know if you can see that very well, but the crochet in this is insane. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's like nothing I've seen. It's so cool. This is the end product. And it's just a small like little lap blanket. It's not going to be very big. I think the total length on both sides is 46.5 inches. So it's not going to be big at all. But let me go ahead and share with you. I did start and I did finish the first tile. So here is my Persian tile, my first Persian tile. It's beautiful. So like I said before, I haven't really done crochet in a really, really long time, and I don't really consider myself to be the best crocheter or the best hooker. I'm not the best. I really am. I'm really not. My grandmother, though, one of my grandmother on my mother's side, she was amazing. She made like doilies, and she was so good at crochet. But I'm just not there. I'm not as good as she was, but I do like it, and it does take, I find it to be quite fast actually. I find it's taking less time than knitting, so I imagine that's why a lot of people crochet blankets and throws as opposed to knitting them like I'm doing, but you know, that's fine. Anyway, so this isn't taking me very long, but as you can see, there's a plethora of different colors here, and the kit that I bought, they did send me all of the yarn as well, so I don't have to purchase any extra yarn. Everything came with it. All I had to get was the crochet hook, but I actually already had one from my grandmother, and yeah, that's what I'm using. So this is my first Persian tile, and I'm knitting 7 more of these, so 8 total in these colors here, and then I have another 8 tiles to do for 16 Persian tiles total in other colors. So I'm knitting this, or I'm not, I keep saying knitting, but I'm not knitting. I'm crocheting this. Sorry, I'm new. So I'm crocheting this, but I'm kind of doing it, and I don't know if this is right, but I'm kind of doing it in factory style. So so I'm using one color at a time, and I'm just making everything that I need to with that one color. So if you can see, with these, I've crocheted all of the little fans that you're supposed to do on the ends in both colors. And then with these, I'm still finishing up that yellow. Oh, maybe you can't see. Yeah, with these 3 here, I have 3 more to do to finish up all the little fans. And then once I finish the fans on all of these, I'll get to do the border around it. And it's just coming together. I find that to be a little bit slower, but also a little bit faster at the same time. If I make all of the things that I need to make in one color, I don't know. It's a little bit slow, but it's also a little bit fast. So these are my tiles, and they're coming together. I think they're coming together quite nicely. Now this does look a little weird, and I think maybe I need to block it, but I don't know, because I don't know if you're supposed to block crochet or not. I don't see why you wouldn't, but I don't know if do crocheters block their stuff? I imagine that they do. But if you do block crochet, are you supposed to block blankets? Or is that something that's supposed to be done? I actually have no idea. So if you crocheters out there want to let me know and school me and say, hey, you do need to block that, or no, why would you block that? Let me know, because I don't know. I'm new to crochet, new-ish, I suppose, to crochet, but let me know. But this is my Persian Tiles crochet blanket, a very small lap blanket nonetheless, but it's coming together. So that's my crochet blanket. That is the 5th and final works in progress that I have to share with you. I don't have anything else as far as like future plans or anything like that. So we'll just skip over future plans. I didn't really have any future plans to share with you anyway. And we'll just move on into books, TV shows, and movies. Perhaps this video isn't gonna be as long as I thought it's gonna be. I have tried to film this video like twice already, but I didn't like the way they turned out, so I hope this one is okay. It's kind of weird coming back to making videos after having been away for so long, and I don't know. I guess I was kind of nervous to make the video. But yeah, that's it. I don't really have any other future plans, so if you are just here for the crafty talk, the knitting and crochet talk, and you're not interested in hearing about TV and book recommendations, feel free to click off this video. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for checking out my video and my channel. I hope to see you back. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy crafting, I guess I should say. If you're sticking around for the TV and book recommendation talk, let's just start with books. So I haven't been reading too many books lately, but I did start reading, and I did finish some. Let me show you. I did start reading this book here. This is one of the books that I shared with you the last time. This is a book by Elizabeth Peters, which actually is a pseudonym. Elizabeth Peters is a pseudonym, so that's not her real name. She wrote these amazing books called the Amelia Peabody Mystery Books. This is the first book in the Amelia Peabody Mystery set called Crocodile on the Sandbank. And this book is one of the best books I've ever read. It's so, so, so good. It's set in Victorian times, and it gives you some beautiful views of Egyptian antiquities. The author, Elizabeth Peters, I think, like I said, that's a pseudonym. The actual woman, I think her name is Barbara Mertz. She's an Egyptologist, and so she's very, very well educated in Egypt and Egyptology. And so all of her novels are set in Egypt, and the picture that she paints in her novels in these novels rather, of Egypt and the landscape in Egypt is like, it's amazing. I mean, it just transports you to Egypt. It's incredible. But this book is so good. Like I said, this is the first book in the Amelia Peabody mysteries. So the story goes that Amelia Peabody, the main character in this novel, is a sort of unexpectedly wealthy spinster. She spends some time and money taking a trip over to Egypt and some other places that she's always wanted to go to. And on her travels, she meets some interesting characters, and some hilarity happens, and she ends up on this archaeological dig site where her and her companions run into what they can only assume is a mummy. But they have to find out if the mummy is in fact a mummy. And that is where the mystery is. So the Amelia Peabody series is sort of famous for that. All of the Amelia Peabody mysteries take place in Egypt, and all of the different excavations that Amelia and her cronies, I guess, come across are sort of the backdrop of the novels and where all of the mysteries happen. So I did finish this first book here. Like I said, it is one of the best books I've ever read. It is so good. There are over 300 pages in this novel, but it goes by really quickly. I highly recommend checking this book out. If you don't read any more Amelia Peabody mystery books and you just read this first one, you'll love it. It's so good. So I did read this one and finish this one. I did purchase the second book in the Amelia Peabody mystery set, and that is this one called The Curse of the Pharaohs. I have begun to read this book. I'm not quite finished with it yet. I'm a little bit more than halfway finished with it, as you can see right here. But again, this is Amelia Peabody, which is the main character. It has some new characters, and it's just as much fun as this first one here. So I'm really enjoying it. I've not read this second one before, but I like it a lot so far. So these books are amazing. I recommend checking them out, but this is the only reading that I have been doing for the past like month and a half, which is not great, but whatever. I haven't been reading as much as I would like. However, those two books are incredible, and I highly recommend checking them out. And let's just go ahead and move straight on into movies and TV shows. So I haven't been watching too many movies, but I did recently watch, not recently, I guess sort of recently, I watched the new movie called The Batman with Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson, the guy from Twilight. I think it's Robert, right? Rob? Oh my gosh, forget it. I don't even remember. Anyway, The Batman, the new Batman movie. That movie is, I think it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. It is 3 hours long, so just know that going in if you do decide to watch it, but it is very good. I do recommend checking it out if you have a chance. I really liked it. So that's really the only movie that I've seen. I haven't really seen any other movies so far, but I have been watching a lot of TV shows. So let me go ahead and just let you know. The first TV show that I have been watching is Outlander. Last time I left you, I was still on the 5th season because I hadn't watched the 4th or 5th one, and I did finish the 5th season. That season is very good, but it is very heavy. There's a lot of heavy and serious material in that 5th season, but there is a lot of heavy and serious material in the books. So I fully expected what I saw, but it was just a lot, but it was very good. I really enjoy Outlander. It's one of my favorite shows, if not my favorite show, and it's just so beautiful. So season 6 for Outlander has started, and I did watch the first episode of that season already. I think they're on like the 3rd or 4th episodes and I've only watched the one, but that's because this season 6 is a little bit shorter and therefore the episodes are a little bit longer. So there's a lot going on in one episode and I feel like I need to watch it again. So I've only watched the one episode, but I need to go back and watch it again to just see everything, and then I'll get started with the rest of the episodes that have come out. But yeah, so I have started watching season 6 of Outlander, so if you were wondering, that's where I'm at. And then I have been watching a show on Apple TV called Servant, and I think the last episode of the 3rd season just ended last weekend, I want to say. Servant on Apple TV has 3 seasons. Like I said, I think the 3rd season just ended. And that is a show that I think is produced by M. Night Shyamalan. And it is an interesting show. I think the most interesting thing about that show is the way that they shoot it. They get a lot of really artistic and sort of unexpected camera angles in that show. But it's really, I think, part of the story and part of the way that they tell a story, and it just fits with the overall theme of the show to have it be a little bit different and a little bit weird, and it's amazing. I mean, the show, I love that show, and I can't pin down tell you exactly why, but it is one of my favorite shows. It is so good, and there's a lot of what the F moments in that show, but it's incredible. I recommend checking it out if you haven't done so already. I think it's really underrated, and it's a very good show. The acting in it is superb. You might recognize Rupert Grint from Harry Potter. He plays Ron. He's in that show, and he has this American accent, and it's a little bit weird at first, but then you're like, oh, it totally fits him. So I don't know. It's just an incredible show. I recommend checking it out. So that's Servant on Apple TV Plus. And then the 3rd show that I have been binge watching is Bridgerton over on Netflix. And a lot of people have a lot to say about Bridgerton. Boy, oh boy, let me tell you. So the 2nd season for Bridgerton just dropped like a week ago, I think, like last weekend it just came out. Before that 2nd season came out, I just rewatched the 1st season so that I could kind of get a refresher, because I watched the 1st season of Bridgerton when it came out in like, I think it was last year, or was it 2020? I can't remember. I totally forget. Anyway, but I watched it back when it first came out, and I was a little bit confused as to like, what is this? Like, what am I watching? And then I decided that I really liked it because it was just sort of like fun entertainment. A lot of people try to take Bridgerton a little bit too seriously and get upset about the fact that it's not completely historically accurate. But I don't actually mind that so much. I think once you can get past that factor, if you're a Jane Austen fan like me, if you can get past the factor of like it not being exactly like that and a little bit different, actually a lot different, I think you can appreciate it for what it is. I think in my mind it's just fun entertainment. It is kind of steamy in the 1st season at least, and yeah, I just really enjoy it. I really enjoy Bridgerton, so I recommend checking it out. I did rewatch the 1st season, and then the 2nd season I binge watched the 2nd season in like 3 days. So I love it. I love the 2nd season. I actually think it's better than the 1st season, but if you have a chance, I recommend checking out Bridgerton. It's really fun and entertaining, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, so that's it, you guys. That is all that I have to share with you. I don't have anything else. That's all of the crafty talk. That's all of the TV and video. And that's it. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Thank you for watching me. I'm happy to be back. I'm really hoping that I get to release this video. Like I said, I've tried to film this like several times before, and I haven't been happy with it, but I'm hoping that this is the one. I think. We'll see. But yeah, so that's it, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe. Happy knitting!